ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यः साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतम् मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ. So now today we will be seeing a summary of a sixth chapter of this Pancadasi before we will start a seventh chapter in the next session. So out of this 15 chapters of this Pancadasi, we have divided into three groups. All the acharyas divided into three groups, and each group is called a Panchakam. And so first one is a Viveka Panchakam, in which the titles of the chapter have a word Viveka at the end. Like Tattva Viveka, Panchabhuta Viveka Prakranam, or Panchakosha Viveka Prakranam, Dvaita Viveka Prakranam, Mahavakya Viveka Prakranam. These are the first five chapters called Viveka Panchakam. Every chapter's title has a word Viveka at the end. And then, from chapter 6 to 10, another 5 chapters, they have a titled Deepa. So, Chitra Deepa. Again, Prakranam, of course, that will be there. So, Chitra Deepa Prakranam, Trupti Deepa Prakranam, Kutastha Deepa Prakranam, Dhyana Deepa Prakranam, Nataka Deepa Prakranam. So, this is the Deepa Panchakam. And they say also that the first 5 chapters discusses, ultimately all 15 chapters discusses regarding Atma. That's the only subject matter. And Atma is a Satchidananda. The first 5 chapters discusses the Sat aspect of the Atma. And then Deepa. Deepa means some light. So it discusses the Chaitanya, consciousness aspect of the Satchidananda. And the last one is a Ananda Panchakam. Yeah. And so Brahmanande, Yogananda, etc. And then Avishyanande Brahmananda, Yoganande Brahmananda, Vidyanande Brahmananda, like that. So there is a different way of saying. So Vishayananda, Yogananda, Vidyananda, Advaitananda. We may feel that there are varieties of the Anandas. But Acharya has made very clear. Of course, most of the acharyas accept that this is the last 5 chapters are definitely not Vidyaranya's contribution. That must be a text called Brahmananda by his teacher, who has written Drigdrishya Viveka. He has composed this. Somehow Vidyaranya has not written, and they believe that Vidyaranya might have his prarabdha might have been over while writing this Panchadashi, etc. That's what they think. Why his guru has to write? Anyway, so but then the Sat aspect is discussed, Chita aspect is discussed, and therefore this Ananda also discussed, which is discussed in a chapter, which is discussed in a text called Brahmananda, has been joined with this and it became Panchadashi. Otherwise, somebody says, some Acharya says, while writing chapter 6 itself, Vidyaranya's prarabdha was over. Something like that. Very pathetic. But anyway, whatever it is, we don't know. So but that last 5 chapters are independent, that we know very well. That's not Vidyaranya's contribution, that is for sure. Because in the 11th chapter, that is the first chapter of the Brahmananda, at the end, it comes like that. This is the first chapter of Brahmananda. So then definitely it is not 11th. So must be an independent text. Anyway, and so, but very, very unique way. Actually, Yogananda means yoga means samadhi. And Vishaya, etc. all have all these kind of experiences. It may be a samadhi, it may be a experience of a sense or objects, etc. It generates a pleasure in a different degrees. So it's all experiential pleasure. We may feel there are different types of ananda, but these titles make it clear. Vishayanande Brahmananda. So basically, this Vishayananda is none other than Brahmananda. Yoganande Brahmananda. This yoga means samadhi, etc. Yogi gets an ananda, that also is a Brahmananda alone. So that is how all experiential ananda ultimately have a source in the Atma only. Atma alone is Ananda Swarupa. And anyway, so each chapter has Ananda in the title, so called Ananda Panchakam, the last 5. Anyway, we are now seeing this summary of the 6th chapter called Chitra Deepa Prakaranam. And it is the first chapter of the Deepa Panchakam. And well, this is one of the biggest chapter of Panchadashi, consisting of 290 verses, right? And considered to be very important chapter for its content. And I am now, by way of summarizing it, I am reminding to you that what an important chapter it was, and what that we studied. Chapter 7 also is a very big chapter. It is also a very, very important chapter. But anyway, there only chapter 7 only one vakya, one mantra, in fact, small portion of the mantra of the Brihadaranyaka is discussed in more than 200 verses. This is Vidyaranya. So, Atmanam chit vijaniya tayamasmi iti purushah kimichan kasya kamaya shariram anusanjaret. Very beautifully discussed there. All the words, what is meaning by Atma, what is mean by Sharira, and all this, everything. Anyway, now here in this chapter 6, from verse up to 17, Vidyaranya gives a condensation of the entire Vedanta. We call it as a Vedanta Sankshepaha. We can call Vedanta Saraha. We can call Vedanta Sangraha. Sangraha, Sankshepa, Sara means essence, condensation of the entire Vedanta in the first 17 verses of this chapter. And well, in this portion alone, he gives an example of a Chitrapata. You know, that's how this Chitra Deepa. And Chitrapata means a painted canvas or a painted cloth. And this is an example through which, well, he talks about, and this painted canvas or painted cloth passes through the 4 stages, starting from the first, let us say, till you get the paint. There are total 4 stages. Same way, well, Brahman also becomes this Jagat. This is also a painting. Jagat is a painting. That's very true. Jagat is also painting varieties of the colors and forms and whatnot. This is a very, very beautiful painting. Well, starting from Brahman till this Jagat, well, there also are 4 stages. And what are the 4 stages for the canvas? Till it reaches to the point of, reaches to the painting, full-fledged painting. It becomes full-fledged painting. How many stages? So, Dautapataha. So, Dautapataha means, well, basically this, the pure white canvas. Gattitapataha, that's a starched cloth. And Lanchitapataha. So, there are some linings, right? Lanchitapataha, marked cloth or marked canvas. And then in that linings, you fill up the colors. That's becoming painting. So, Puritapataha, painted cloth or painted canvas. So, you get the painting from the canvas. Pure white canvas results into a painting. Now, you don't say, well, it's a pure white canvas. Or you won't say canvas itself. You say it's painting. Same way, Brahman also becomes Jagat. You don't use word Brahma at all. Ultimately, this Brahman alone passes through these 4 stages. So how? First is what? Shuddham Brahma. Well, like Shuddhauta Pataha, pure white canvas. So here also Shuddham Brahma. Brahman without anything. And then Antaryami Brahma. Well, and then Hiranyagarbha Brahma and Virat Brahma. So Shuddha Brahma means with Brahman without, well, this any connection to Maya. That's how it is. Without any connection to Maya, just we take it pure Brahman. Sadeva Somedamagra Asit Ekameva Dvitiyam. And well, then, in the second stage is Antaryami Brahman. That's called Ishvara. Antaryami Brahman means Brahman which is dipped in Maya. And therefore, Maya is already there. But without any connection to Maya, when we look upon the Brahman, we call it as like a Dhautapata, we call it as a Shuddham Brahma. And well, of course, Maya is a non-separate, but now ready for the creation, right? And therefore, well, we now take into account, when you bring a creation, when you want to discuss creation, you will have to bring Maya. And therefore, well, now Brahman with the Maya. That's the second stage. Brahman dipped into Maya. And that is called Ishvara. And that's called Antaryami. Same thing. Ishvara and Antaryami are synonymous words. Ish dhatu means to control. Antaryami also means like inner controller. Antasan yamayati iti Antaryami. And therefore, Antaryami and Ishvara are not two different entities. It is just a synonym itself. And so that is Brahman fit for creation. Like the canvas which is dipped in that starch, fit for painting. Same way, Brahman with the Maya is fit for creation. And then third is a Hiranyagarbha, Brahman. So there we are using, why Hiranyagarbha Brahman? What is this you are speaking? But anyway, because thing is, where, just to compare with the example, there I am using Dhautha Pataha and that Gattita Pataha, Lanchita Pataha and Purita Pataha. So everywhere I am using Pataha. So here also I am using this Pata, Brahman, not Pata, I am sorry. So I am also Shuddham Brahma. And then the other one is Antaryami Brahman. The third one is now Hiranyagarbha Brahma. And fourth is this Virat Brahma. Okay, so this is how we take. Anyway, so this is how the third one is a Hiranyagarbha, where linings have appeared. That's called Sukshma Prapancha. So that is outline of these creations are getting ready now. And then the fourth last one is a Virat Brahma, where Sthula Prapancha has come. So Sthula Prapancha has come, and then so the whole creation has become very colorful. Sukshma Sharira, Sukshma Prapancha is there, nothing. In fact, where it is not seen at all. Suppose the whole creation is there, all jivas are there, just with a Sukshma Sharira. Just think that Swami is there without Sukshma Sharira. Well, it looks like a ghost. No color, nothing, right? This all color, forms and everything, all varieties is due to Sthula Sharira. So Sthula Prapancha alone basically brings this, then only you can equate with a painting, otherwise it's not possible. So just a lining on a canvas does not, nobody will call it as a painting unless you fill up the colors. Same way, this Sthula Prapancha fills up all colors, forms, attributes, everything. And therefore, and then only transaction, etc. also is possible when Sthula Prapancha will be there. So, based on that two important lessons we have to draw, Shuddham Brahma alone is a real, we have already seen also. So, whereas Antaryami, Hiranyagarbha and Virat cannot exist independently, they need a support of a Brahman, ultimately. Similarly, painted cloth, marked cloth and stiff cloth, etc. Starched cloth, etc. can't exist without that pure canvas, right? So, that is, we have used the word Adhar Vastram. Pure Dhautha Pataha is Adhar Vastram, pure canvas, on which there is because of which there is then starched canvas, and then, our Lanchita Pataha, and even this Purita Pataha will be possible. All the three are possible because there is a Dhautha Pataha. Same way, we call it as a Adhar Vastram. And ultimately in Purita Pata also, you will find different cloths, etc. Right? in terms of colors, etc. That's called abhasa vastram. We have used those words also while describing this thing. We have used. So painting, marking, and all this starching is not possible if canvas itself is not there. Therefore, all the three are mithya. That's the important. The important thing is this. Essence is this. What is the reality in this? That's all. What is the reality in painting? Reality in painting is canvas. Satyam is this. Other thing are mithya. So so three steps are mithya as such. So like in Mandukya, well, three padas are mithya. The fourth one we call fourth for the sake of saying fourth, for the sake of counting. Turiyam is satyam. Actually, it is not. It is available in all the three. And so when you say marked cloth, well, definitely canvas is there. Painted cloth, canvas is there. Starched cloth, canvas is there. So canvas is present in all the three. But we want to show the distinct. Why you want to show the distinction? Because that the reality makes us to distinguish them, makes us to see them distinctly. And therefore only canvas is the reality. Other three are not reality. And therefore we are making a distinction. Same way here, Brahman alone is the reality. And that Brahman, well, this Antaryami Brahman, Antaryami Brahman or Hiranyagarbha or Virat, means this Jagat, well, that is Mithya. Brahman is Satyam, Jagat is Mithya, which is a huge painting. Of course, it is Mithya. So this is the first point. Out of these 17 verses, what is to be taken in essence is this. This is the first point we have to understand. That what is Satyam, what is Mithya out of these four things. And second indigenous point is, well, is the painted cloth. Well, on certain places, colorful dresses, etc. are there. So in painting, suppose it's a painting of a cricketers who are playing in the stadium. Let us say that way. So all 22, not 22 as such, 10 and 10, let's say 20 cricketers are there. And then grass is there, and then audience also, the spectators are there, and all this is there, right? And then definitely one team has a different type of dress. Suppose it is a Pakistan versus India. India wears of blue, and this Pakistan cricketers have a green. They generally, I don't know, somehow they like green. So green t-shirt, green pant, and this, and ours is a blue, let us say, and the numbers and everything there. So suppose such kind of painting is there. So basically Vidyaranya want to say here, there are two vastrams. One is abhasa vastram and other is a adhara vastram. Abhasa vastram is imaginary vastram and other is adhara vastram. So imaginary vastrams are imagined on players. Just imagine on players. Because the player itself is a canvas. Player itself is a canvas, and what player wears also is a canvas, and therefore that is the brilliance of the example. That we may think that this is canvas is also there and other things are also there. Adhar vastram, canvas is vastram, cloth. So that also is there, and this t-shirt etc. also is there. Both are real. I think nothing is real. One is real, other is mithya. That's a lesson. So anyway, so abhasa vastram. So, but why do you say it is abhasa vastram? Because it's not all over. That's the thing. So it's not all over. It is only where the player is there. What? Abhasa vastram. Abhasa vastram is there where the player is there, not the entire thing. And therefore, what's the difference between adhara vastram and abhasa vastram? Abhasa vastram is always limited in a certain place. Adhara vastram is not limited. And where abhasa vastram is there, if adhara vastram is not limited and abhasa vastram is limited, means adhara vastram not being limited pervades abhasa vastram also. A lot of things we can understand. We can go on and on. Even you may also get some ideas. When I say I'm saying something, really speaking, you will also get. If you just think, you will get several ideas. So adhara vastram is the canvas, which is limitless comparatively. It pervades everything. It pervades player, it pervades the ground, it pervades the stadium, it pervades the grass, everything. It pervades even a ball, everything. Stumps, everything it pervades. So, then why you bring vastram? Because that we want to see There are two Vastrams. So same way there are two Chaitanyams here also. Jiva and this Brahman also is Chaitanyam, Jiva also is Chaitanya. But we want to prove ultimately that one is like Abhasa Vastram. It's Jiva is Abhasa. That is a Chit Abhasa. That is a Vastra Abhasa. That is the difference. And therefore ultimately Chidabhasa. And that is Chaitanya, which is Adhara. And Chidabhasa of course is within that Chaitanyam. Chidabhasa is Mithya, Jiva is Mithya, Brahman is Satyam, etc. etc. A lot of things we can understand that. Anyway, so colors etc. are given to that green and blue and everything. Well, ultimately where the player is there, not on the cow. The cow also may be there. No, in stadium it cannot be there, but think of it. This is our painting. And therefore, so suppose something else is there. So, well, definitely, this colors, etc., well, they fill up. It's in the players only. So, Adhar Chaitanyam, why I want to say is, Adhar Chaitanyam has no attributes, no varna, no color, no nothing. It's free from all attributes. That's sufficient. Whereas Abhasa Chaitanyam has all attributes. Abhasa Chaitanyam has all. Abhasa Vastram has attributes. Adhar Vastram has no attributes. Colors are filled up only in the Abhasa. Right? Where marking of that t-shirt, marking of the pant is there. In that they fill up the color. But definitely there the Adhara is that canvas. If canvas itself is not there, how are you going to fill up the color? So where you fill up the color, well, there the Adhara is there. Only you marked and you fill up the green or blue color. So here, so Adhara Vastram and Abhasa Vastram, well, say in example, same way we have a Adhara Chaitanyam and Abhasa Chaitanyam. And we have to understand it that we can compare it that way also. And Adhara Vastram is one. Abhasa Vastrams are many. So all 20 players are there. So all 20 pairs of shirt and t-shirt and pants, etc. So Adhara Vastram is one. Abhasa Vastram and Adhara Vastram cannot be more than one. Because it is limitless. Comparatively. Whole canvas. And therefore it is just one. Abhasa Vastrams are many. Well, so 22, at least 22 pairs are there. 20 pairs are there. Anyway, same way Adhar Chaitanyam is one. Abhasa Chaitanyams are many. As many Jivas, they are all Abhasa Chaitanyam with all their attributes, etc. And lastly, of these two, one is Satyam, other is Mithya. So Adhar is Satyam, Adhar Vastram is Satyam, Adhar Chaitanyam is Satyam, Abhasa Vastram is Mithya, Abhasa Chaitanyam is Mithya. And so each individual is a mixture of both. Each individual is a mixture of both. That's what we discussed. Ahankara is whenever say when I say I, is a mixture. I is a mixture. When you say this is snake, it is a mixture. This is snake. If it is just snake, it is not mithya. If it is just a snake, without its adhara, when I say this is snake and it is only snake, it is not mithya. Definitely not. When you say this is snake and it is a mixture, definitely it is mithya. That's the thing. Yeah, because one is satyam, one is mithya. Without which even this snake is not sin. The very snake is not sin if rope is not there. And therefore, snake, rope both are there. Satya mithya mixture is there. Same way when I say I, well, definitely. This abhasa also is there, chidabhasa. Jiva is there, as well as adhara should be there, and that is Brahman also is there. So, and as long as these two are not understood separately, there is a samsara. So when I say I and I take it as a one only, that I am individual, I am a jiva, then, well, definitely there samsara will be there. Sense of limitation will be there, and therefore avidya, kama, karma, everything will be there. And when you understand them separately, then samsara goes. When you understand snake, that it's a mixture of two, then samsara, bhayam goes. When you say this is just a snake, then bhayam will not go. So this is how we have to separate. Intellectually, we have to separate them. Same way, I also should claim myself as a Adhara Chaitanya. When I say I am Brahman, it's a mixture in which I understand I am the Jivatvam is Mithya and I am Brahman, that is the reality. So this entire Vedanta is basically this Adhara Abhasa Chaitanya Viveka only, and this is the first topic between verse 1 to 17. We call it as a Vedanta Sangraha, Vedanta Sara. Second topic. In that, well, from 18 to 21, Vidyaranya gives an introduction to the expanded Vedanta. Expansion is from verse number 22 to the, we will be seeing that, 22 to 103. But before that, he introduces the expansion of this Vedanta, this topic, between verse 18 to 21. So, and here Vidyaranya introduces, well, Akasha Drishtanta. Now that Chitrapata Drishtanta has gone. So, Chaturvida Akasha Prakriya, we have seen that also. And how many, there are also four Akashas. Ghatakasha, Jalakasha. And Meghakasha, Mahakasha. So, Ghatakasha means what? Space occupied by the pot. And Jalakasha, space reflected in the water of the pot. The second. The third one is a Meghakasha, the space reflected in the clouds. It's a reflecting medium of a, so but where in the clouds, what is reflected? Space. But which space? The vast space, Mahakasha. So Mahakasha, which is, so let's put the third one as a Mahakasha. That let's first understand it. Mahakasha means all pervading space, and then Meghakasha, that all pervading space which is reflected in the reflecting medium called clouds. This is way four Chaturveda Akasha Prakriya is introduced here in this verse 18 to 21. And out of these four again, two are, I mean, we can consider as original, and two are reflections only. And in that also, why two original? Because micro and macro. So basically, Ghatakasha is a micro original space. We have to use this anyway. And Jalakasha is a micro reflected space, naturally, because the water is there, reflecting medium is there, and whatever the space is there in the pot is reflected. Therefore, it is micro reflected space. Micro original space, micro reflected space. We have to say that way. Ghatakasha and Jalakasha. And then Mahakasha and Meghakasha. There also we can say macro space, original space, and macro reflected space. Well, then similarly, consciousness also, well, definitely, micro original consciousness is the consciousness obtained within the body. And micro reflected consciousness is the consciousness which is reflected in the individual mind, that's a medium. So, this is regarding micro. And then macro, well, original consciousness is all pervading consciousness, which we call Brahman. I will give you the name later. So, which is, well, infinitely big, which is infinite as such. And we got the four names for also, like there, Ghatakasha, everything, all names are there for one Akasha only. Ghatakasha, Jalakasha, Meghakasha, Mahakasha. Same way, this one Chaitanyam alone. But due to this reflections and all, we have got the four names, micro, macro. So, micro original consciousness is called Kutastha. And micro reflected consciousness, well, is called Ahankara. We call it Ahankara or Jiva. Macro original consciousness, well, we call as a Brahma Chaitanya. And macro reflected consciousness is called Ishvara Chaitanya. So this, like this, through this fourfold Akasha, fourfold consciousness also are introduced in verse 18 to 21. Anyway, then from verse 22nd to 103, well, now we have to separate because it's a mixture ultimately, and therefore because reflection is simple, we can look it little differently also. Any reflection is never separate from the original, never separate. So you should understand that well, it is not separate, but actually both are different things. So one can take the reflected sun in the water as a real sun or original sun, then it's a wrong thinking. It's a mixture. Well, when you look at the reflection itself, you should understand that it is a mixture. This reflection is not possible unless original is there. And not only that, not possible is one thing, but this reflection is non-separate from the original. That's another thing. That is the problem actually. If two things are there and if they are independent, where is a question of viveka? You understand separately, fine. But actually it is a mixture and you take it as a one, not understanding that it is a mixture of a satyam and mithya. Well, then there is a problem. And therefore, now jiva, the viveka is introduced. That's how Kutastha Viveka, Kutastha Prakaranam in this, basically this Viveka ultimately between Kutastha and Ahankara. Let's say that Viveka is introduced here. Or Kutastha and Jiva Viveka, you can say, between verse 22 to 103. And normally we say somewhere else, as instead of a Kutastha, we use word Sakshi also. Actually, the word Sakshi, I have already told you about this Sakshi. More details he will give in the chapter 10. Very beautiful, very beautiful. But let's understand it the same. We accept it at this moment. Kutastha Jiva Viveka is none other than Sakshi Ahankara Viveka, also you can call. And well, most of the things are known to us. It's not that we don't know, but he is introducing and explaining in his own style. So, well, Kutastha is a limitless and divisionless, attributeless, etc. consciousness actually. And Jiva, well, Jiva Chaitanya is a reflection, and therefore it is plural also. Because as many reflecting mediums, so will be all these Jivas also. So they are plural, all are limited. Very plurality proves limitedness. I need not tell, but let's take it that way. Plural, limited, with attributes, etc. with Sanchita Karma, Prarabdha Karma. And that is how, because Karana Sharira will be different. So therefore, what comes out as a Sukshma Sharira will be different. So different mindsets will be there. And different gross bodies also will be there. That is also ultimately Karyam from the Karana Sharira. All karmas are there. And therefore, all Sukshma Sharira and Sthula Shariras are different, because Karana Shariras are different. And then Karana Sharira itself is the first reflecting medium. We don't count, I have given you the reason also. But so we directly say Sukshma Sharira is a reflecting medium, because that's a Avyakta. In Avyakta, you will never understand. To say that there is a reflection in a Avidya, well, it's a bold step to say, because no one can experience it. It's an unmanifest thing. Well, to say, well, that in this egg, well, a whole bird is there. Well, then somebody may ask you, how can you say? Are you seeing are you seeing the eyes of a bird, or are you seeing what? What are the aspects you are seeing here? So I say, I do a Anumana. And that's how Karana Sharira is Anumeya. That's how it has been described in the Shastra. It is Anumeya. It is through Anumana only you can understand. Like you understand a unmanifest butter in a curd or in a yogurt, etc. So no one sees, but you can understand because it comes out from that. So okay, then therefore that must be there. So same way Karana Sharira, well, ultimately brings forth this Sukshma and Sthula Sharira. Anyway, so because of the plurality, well, we can understand. So they are plural, they are limited, they are having various attributes depending upon their Sanchita, Prarabdha, etc., etc. And entire Karma Kanda, well, talks about this travel of this Chaitanya, reflected consciousness, travel of this Ahankara, travel of a Jiva Chaitanya, etc. Kutasthan does not travel anywhere. No Shraddha Tarpana is required for that. Udhvam Gachanti Sattvastaha, Adho Gachanti Tamasaha, etc. Well, Madhye Tishtanti Rajasaha, etc. Bhagavan also describes. So basically, this Urdhvam Gachanti Sattvastaha. So all this reflected consciousness with the reflecting medium, well, the Jiva travels all over, going in various lokas, etc. Okay. And thereafter Vidyaranya, very beautiful thing is Vidyaranya makes a point revealing his skill in language that is not there anywhere else. Here you find that. He enters into that inquiry. That, what is that inquiry? Discriminative inquiry. What is that discriminative inquiry? Between Ahankara and Sakshi. He enters into that. What's actually going on in this 22 to 103 is a Tvampada Vichara only. Anyway, and therefore, he says, word I, aham, is taken as a jiva, and word self is taken as a kutastha. So, and that is very true. See, he says, I told you that jiva is a plural. I mean, and it's limited. And whereas the sakshi is one alone and it is limitless, etc. and without attributes, etc. So he says that I or aham must refer to jiva because word I is different from he. She means plurality. And I is not he is not she is not I, and therefore they are different also, different attributes, right? So different attributes naturally, because he and she will not definitely. So he says I, he, she itself indicates that, well, the word I mean, or he or she refers to Chidabhasa, Ahankara, Jiva. And in the same sentence where you are using this I, he, she, etc., you are using another word, well, used for Kutastha also, and that is self, Swam. And therefore, etc. So, well, two things are there. So, word self is used with all the persons. Word I, he, she uses with a particular person. So, that is limited, that different with their different attributes. And plurality, of course, definitely, because you are counting in terms of I, he, she, etc. So, even when, inert object also, so the self is used for everything, even with the sentient things and insentient things also, he says. Very beautiful. So, I myself will go. He himself will come. She herself will cook. We say that. So, the self you are using all the time. And whereas I, he, she cannot be used with the self, I, he, she cannot be used in a common. The word self is used everywhere. And not only that, he says, not only with the sentient things, with insentient things also you use. And you say the stone itself fell down or something. So itself. So sentient, insentient, with everything you are using word self. Well, that is the common thing. That's adhara. That's the adhara of everything. So word swam or the self indicates it's a adhara, or it's a sakshi, and this I, he, she, etc. Well, there shows a limited entity, and that is a jiva. So this is how in a sentence itself, when I say I myself will speak about that, well, both the things, it shows that is a mixture to indicate there is a mixture or not. So he says our Vyavara indicates it's a mixture. And this is, he goes via language. There are many ways. Adhyas Bhasha also, well, definitely talks about a mixture. But what I'm ultimately conveying is this here in terms of language, he says. The word self being a common in everything, well, definitely indicating Adhara Chaitanya, etc., Sakshi, etc. And I, he, she, etc., well, they are used distinctly, indicating a plurality, etc., limitedness with different attributes. Therefore, that indicates a jiva, abhasa chaitanya. And even the self, well, pervades not only this sentient beings, but also insentient beings. Word self also is used with the insentient things. Also, as I told you, the stone itself fell down, etc. Anyway, and so Vidyaranya translated this Kutasya Chaitanya as the self. And Chidabhasa, well, is not common to the Chetana, everything. Chidabhasa is only in the Chetana, whereas Kutastha Chaitanyam is not common only to the Chetan, sentient things, but to insentient also. Otherwise, if Abhasa Chaitanya will be there in the stone, etc., they will not be called insentient, right? So there, definitely, they are called Abhasa Chaitanya formation is due to that Sukshma Sharira. You understand. And therefore, basically, so that I, he, she, etc. used with the sentient things, well, or heat, whatever, stone. Well, with the, with limited entities, whereas the self, word self is used for all. And therefore, the self is which is common for sentient, insentient, everything. That indicates a Sakshi, Brahman. And, I, he, she, etc. indicates a Chidabhasa. And that's good. Insentient thing does not have, if insentient thing has a Abhasa, definitely the desk also will have a problem of arthritis, and it will start shouting, arthritis. You can understand what I'm saying. So it's due to that, because of Abhasa Chaitanya. And for that Sukshma Sharira is required, which is not there. Anyway. So we have to know clearly the difference between, so he's proving. He says our Vyavhara, Shabda Vyavhara proves that there is a mixture. That's what I want to convey. It's a mixture in which I, she, he, she, etc. also is there, and self also is there in the sentence, and therefore it is mixture of both. So, and we should know the difference between Jiva and Kutastha. One is limited, other is limitless. One is with attributes, other is without attributes. One is, it is just, this Kutastha is one alone, but Chidabhasas are many because reflecting mediums are many, subtle bodies are many, etc., etc. Anyway, so Jiva is translated as a Aham, and Kutastha is translated as a self. Swam. He has used the word Swam. Swam means self. Of these two, Kutastha is, Satyam, and Jiva is Mithya. Because Jiva cannot exist without Kutastha. Anyway, then the samsara belongs to this Jiva. So, moment I will claim that I am a Kutastha, Chidabhasa, who will claim? I have told you already. Who claims I am Kutastha? Kutastha claim I am Kutastha, or Jiva claims I am Kutastha? Jiva cannot claim I am Kutastha, Kutastha cannot claim I am Kutastha. Yeah, Jiva only claims, Swamiji. No, what I am saying is, Jiva independently, in absence of Kutastha, cannot claim, because Jiva cannot exist without Kutastha. Kutastha cannot claim because Kutastha is free from the mind to claim, free from the senses to claim. Kutastha cannot do anything. Just being Kutastha, it is Kutastha, it can't do anything. So both of them independently cannot do. I think I gave this in introduction before 2-3 classes when I was talking. Who says I am Brahman? Do you remember that? So I said that I am Brahman is claimed by the mixture. Yeah. And who claims I am Jiva? Mixture. But let us make this mixture separate. Impossible. Okay? It is just impossible. It's impossible. Please register in your mind. No physical separation is possible between any name and form and Brahman. Nowhere it is possible. If it is possible, both are real. If this also I could separate from this, if I could separate these two, means two independent things for existence, and therefore that cannot be called Mithya. Mithya means, basically derives existence from Satyam, and it has to derive all the time. Why it has to derive all the time? Because you are going to experience this all the time. If you are going to experience, means it exists. If it exists, then it has a borrowed existence. And the one who provides existence is Satyam, will be always there as Adhara. And this name and form, will always, which you experience in form of a world, will be always Mithya. Mithya is one which is always experienced. Let us not take an example of Rajju Sarpa further, because this Sarpa will not be experienced later once you put a torch. And therefore, that example has its own limitation. Therefore, Chandogya introduces a different type of an example to understand ultimately Satyamithya only. And that is Vacharambhanam Vikaro Namadheyam Mrittika Ityeva Satyam. So you experience all the vikaras of the clay, and you are going to experience in form of a pot or any other thing. They will be there, but at the same time still they are Mithya. All names and forms are Mithya. Vacharambhanam Vikaro Namadheyam. See? Beautifully, what is Mithya is Namadheyam, Namamatram. It's in terms of a name only. It cannot be in terms of any substance. Therefore, for a word pot, there is no substance. The substance is only clay, and therefore it is nama matram is mithya. Mrittika ityeva satyam, and then mrittika alone is a satyam, etc. Has been told very clearly. And therefore, of these two, Kutastha is a satyam and Jiva is a mithya, and samsara belongs to this Jiva. So, moment I claim I am a Kutastha, Chidabhasa is mithya, samsara is mithya. Means you have understood. I am not a Jiva. I am not a Ahankara, etc. etc. You know. And therefore you say I am Brahman. And so for Jnani, that's only one reality. And that is I am Brahman. And it is natural to him. Very, very natural. That's called Nishtha. That's called Nishtha. Nishtha means, you don't have an effort to say or to understand I am Brahman. We don't have effort. Like I don't have effort right now, I am a human being. Right? To say or to understand that I am a human being, I don't have any effort. Spontaneously I say. When you say spontaneously, you need not say. At least you spontaneously understand I am Brahman. That's called Brahmanishtha. That's a Brahmanishtha. Nishtha means Nitaram Sthitihi Nishtha. Sthitihi, where you stand. Stha dhatu means to stand. So Sthitihi means you stand. You stand in what? In Brahman. Nitaram. So you all the time. Nitaram means always. You always stand in Brahman. So this you won't forget. This is better. You won't forget that I am Brahman. That's all. That's called Brahmanishtha. Okay, and and in Vyavara, then he says, I'm going to do breakfast. He says, he will do. He will do. He knows Ahankara is mithya, which is non-separate from me. And so I am a teacher and I'm talker and this and I'm eater and I'm walker and it goes on. Mixture only will do Vyavara. And he says, I am Brahman also, that mixture only will say I am Brahman. Everything. Where the mixture will be all the time. How long mixture will remain? Prarabdha. That's all. Till Prarabdha. That's all. When Prarabdha will be over, well, this reflection will go, Ahankara will go. Because why? Why Ahankara will go? Because reflecting medium will vanish. Yeah, that's called Videha Mukti. That is Videha Mukti. And therefore, the reflecting medium, will just go. Where is it told in the Upanishad that, the seva, aseva, I'm sorry, atreva tasya pranaha samavaniyante, etc. I may be wrong in some using one particular word, but this is how it is told. Pranaha, his subtle body, etc. Prana means all his sense organs and pranas and everything. Upanishad generally doesn't use word indriyas. He uses word prana. Because the Upanishad does not recognize the existence of an indriya without prana. Impossible. So prana alone is jeshtha, shrestha, etc. has been described. Anyway, just by the way. So, Chidabhasa is mithya, samsara is mithya, dharmi is mithya, dharma is mithya. So in between, and when I say mithya, means not like throwing, don't throw, baby along with a bath water. Every mithya is satyam. Every mithya is satyam. It's purely my understanding. Vedanta works this much. What is mithya is satyam, ultimately. First understand, take mithya as a mithya. Yeah. What is ignorance is, what is mithya is taken as a satyam. So what Vedanta does is making for you, in your understanding, what is satyam for you right now, he will make you understand mithya. And then says what is mithya is satyam. That is how it is. So this is, could you follow what I am saying? I hope. So ignorance, definitely tells you that I am jiva, I am ahankara, satyam. I am jiva, that's a reality. Finally, that's the reality for me. Not understanding it's a mixture. So will they say, no. Don't take jiva as a satyam. Why? Because jiva has a basis. Adhara is there. And that is chaitanya, kutasya chaitanya, as adhara. Ahankara is not satyam. Oh, it's a mixture. Yeah, it's a mixture. Okay, let me take mixture together. That's true, but then in mixture, one is satyam, one is mithya. Understand that. One is adhara, other is abhasa. And therefore, What is abhasa is mithya. So what earlier you were taking in the state of ignorance, ahankara is satyam. Now Vedanta tells you ahankara is mithya. And when you say ahankara is mithya, automatically Brahman, which is satyam, is already there. Mithya is satyam. And therefore this is how it is. This is how it is. Two steps. Two steps. One is, first is atma anatma viveka. Second step is anatma is atma. Then understanding is over. Atma anatma viveka. Oh, two things are there. Two things are there. No, sir. Now swallow the whole thing. All anatma is you. So taking this as real, then everything else which is outside this also is equally real. That's called Dvaitam. And so I'll say, no, this is anatma, and you are basically atma, this is not anatma, you are not anatma, etc. And therefore anatma is taken as anatma, that's an ignorance, and that's adhyasa, and so remove it. You are atma. Oh, fine. Let me remove this anatma. Let me throw this. No, sir. Now take all the entire anatma prapancha as atma. Everything is mithya. Once you come out of this boundary, whole thing you will have to swallow. Whole. Not one body. All the bodies are me alone. Sarvabhuteshu atmanam, sarvabhutani cha atmani. Sarvabhutatma bhutatma. Sarvabhutatma bhutatma. This is how it is. So basically, this is to say this much is me. That's a Dvaitam. Because this is also equally real. Two steps. Atma anatma viveka, and anatma is mithya. Atma is satyam, anatma is atma. Mithya is satyam. Okay. And in between he talked about the confusion of several philosophies. Not us, other philosophers are so confused. So this is a topic I was discussing between verse 22 to 103. It's an expansion of a Vedanta, in which verse 58 to 103, he talks about what other philosophers talk about this jiva or ahankara. So, and there he said that all of them have wrongly understood jiva. We have seen that also. These Jainas take, this our jiva as a madhyama parimana, and we have discussed all this. Anyway, also at what point they were wrong has been very clearly explained there. Verse 58 to 103, various systems of philosophy have been taken into account. Anyway, and then elaborate discussion on this Jiva Kutastha Viveka in terms of Mahavakya. Here, as I told you, verse 22 to 103 is a Tvam Padartha Viveka. And Tvam Pada Vachya is the Ahankara, Abhasa Chaitanyam, Jiva, and Tvam Pada Lakshya is this Kutastha Chaitanyam, Sakshi Chaitanyam. Swamiji, Kutastha or Brahman? I'll clarify it once this Tatpada is over. Okay, this is a fourth topic now. Verse 104 to 209. We call Brahma Ishvara Viveka. Like here, Sakshi Ahankara Viveka. So now we'll say about Brahma Ishvara Viveka, Tat Padartha Viveka. So, there we could say even Tvam Pada Shodhanam, and here Tat Pada Shodhanam. So, Shodhanam, because what was really not you has been taken as a you. So, that is considered as an impurity. In terms of a notion, it's Granthi alone. Anyway, so Shodhanam basically means purifying, Tvam means like this. So, now this Tat Pada Shodhanam or Tat Pada Vichara also you can say, Tat Padartha Viveka also you can say. And in this portion, Vidyaranya elaborately talks about the nature of Brahman. And also it talks more about, of course, Ishvara he talks about first. Ishvara also is Abhasa Chaitanya. And Vidyaranya elaborately discusses about reflecting medium, because of which, Ishvara has an advantage due to a reflecting medium. What is that reflecting medium? Well, that is Maya. And our reflecting medium, Antakarana or Avidya, is very poor and dull, miserable. In this portion now, Vidyaranya elaborately discusses Maya. If you really want to see the discussion on Maya, you keep those verses in the mind. Verse number 125 to 151 exclusive discussion on reflecting medium of Ishvara, well, Maya. So, and then he said, in that portion 125 to 151, he said, what is the nature of Maya? He said it is sadasat vilakshanam. We saw that also. It is different from an existent and different from non-existent also. It's a seemingly existent thing. Nearest example is what? And he gave example also, magic show. So, well, it does not magic show whatever is there. I mean, the magician, whatever he is showing from the stage, all the things are existent or non-existent. Well, we cannot say. We cannot put in either of the category because you are seeing and therefore they are existing. You cannot say, I mean, non-existent, right? Because you are experiencing, he is showing something in the hand. So you are experiencing and therefore you can't say it is non-existent. And well, okay, you go and take from his hand. You are very hungry and he is showing some beautiful sweet in his hand. So you are very hungry and you like sweets also, and that particular sweet you like very much. So you are proceeding towards that stage. You want to take it. And when you go there, you won't find anything in his hand. So you cannot say it is existent also. You cannot say it is non-existent also. And well, that's how it is. So the whole creation is like this. Whole creation is like magic substances. And who is magician? Ishvara is a magician. Mayavi. That's what Dakshinamurti Stotra says. Anyway, and so it is seemingly existent. I mean, and we cannot call it as existent, we cannot call it as a non-existent, and such a category is called seemingly existent. And well, seemingly existent means on inquiry it disappears. You experience, and therefore we say existent, but on inquiry it disappears, therefore seemingly existent. So Maya is a topic, one topic. Of course, while discussing about Ishvara, you will have to bring, Ishvara also is Abhasa Chaitanya. So we will have to bring reflecting medium. And that is a very, very good reflecting medium, right? Because of which Ishvara has all the gunas. Which gunas? That also he talked about. Of Mandukya mantra, 6th mantra. Eshaha sarveshwaraha, eshaha sarvagnaha, eshaha antaryami, eshaha yoni sarvasya, yoni karanam, sarvasya karanam. So, 4 glories he talked about. Well, Ishvara's glory due to this medium, reflecting medium called Maya. And these 4 glories have analyzed, not just he mentioned. You know that. Esha Sarveshwaraha, he has explained what Sarveshwara, he has explained what Sarvagnaha, he has also explained what Antaryami, and he has explained that he is a Jagat Karanam, etc. Sarvasya Karanam, that also he explained. So anyway, so Ishvara has a superior virtues because of that wonderful reflecting medium called Maya. And so even though Ishvara is of course glorious, when you talk about this reality of Ishvara, well then it turns out to be Brahman. That is also a mixture. Ishvara is not possible medium, I mean the reflection is not possible unless the original. So Brahman is there. So Ishvara also is a mixture like Jiva. So here we have understood, after analyzing this mixture, we have understood Jiva is a mithya, Ahankara is a mithya, and I am Brahman, that or I am Sakshi, is a reality. Same way, in that mixture also, which is indicated by the word Tat. So between Ishvara and Brahman, well, Ishvara is a mithya. Mithya being Abhasa Chaitanya. And well, so that way omniscience and omnipotent, I mean, that's everything will be. Those gunas also are mithya. And then incidentally, he talked about, very interestingly, he talked about a free will, if you remember. So if Ishvara is omnipotent and omniscient, etc., and he is a cause of everything, and he is the inner controller of everything, oh, then where is the free will? Because ultimately everything is under his control. And he is all powerful, all knowledge, and he controls everything. He is a cause of everything. Being cause itself, he controls everything. Cause always controls the effect. Anyway, so then where is the question of free will now? And therefore, and then, well, definitely, he discussed very beautifully that we have to take a note of a free will also. Free will is there. So he is a creator, etc., of all the human beings, etc., but free will also is given to the human being. So when, this Jiva, when they, I mean, they take a human form, etc., they get free will also. And and it is functional for only for the human form. All jivas, other jivas do not have a free will. And we have seen also, Ishvara also has a certain role and jiva also has a certain role in this creating and in getting various situations, etc. So whatever happens in a human life, of course, is decided by what? I use the word jiva Ishvara. It's a joint venture, is this creation. And so we have said also that Ishvara is we call it as a Sarvasya Karan, but Ishvara is a Samanya Karan for everything, whereas Jiva is a Vishesha Karanam of a Jagat. Vishesha Karanam means as much as you get varieties of the situations, various particular type of a body, particular type of a mind, even though it is part of Jagat. Ishvara is a Samanya Karanam for that, but you get a particular type of body, particular type of mind, particular type of situations. All this you get. That's due to Jiva's karma, due to free will. And therefore both have a role. Ishvara is a Samanya Karanam of the Jagat and Jiva is a Vishesha Karanam of the Jagat. So this is how we have to understand. Anyway, so this is Brahma Ishvara Viveka topic. And I think we'll stop here. Other two topics are there, we'll discuss. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.